The following investigations that you are about to see are the actual events experienced by the ISPR Field Investigation Unit. They have been condensed for time purposes only. All information regarding the history and/or facts of each case study was kept away from the investigators prior to each investigation and revealed only after each investigation was complete. All facts presented and verified by local historians and witnesses are their expert opinions and are presented to the best of their knowledge.
You know, as a child, I had experiences at 10 years old, and I decided that I wanted to know how could I appear and disappear and walk through walls like the ghost that I had seen in my aunt's house. And so through the years, I decided, gee, maybe there's some type of electrical property that's involved enabling us to do that. So I started off in college with a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering, but then later found that designing circuit boards really had nothing to do with the paranormal. So I moved into parapsychology, which has just been phenomenal, and I now have a master's and a PhD in the field. And for 27 years now, I have been conducting field investigations of different types of phenomena. You know, I'm fortunate enough today to have the team of experts that I have, which includes clairvoyance and science. For instance, Dana Smoller, which is a transmedium. Dana came to me originally from the scientific community and is now a full transmedium and has the ability to channel an entity or let the entity speak through her.
I have a very unique position on the team. I kind of walk the scientific walk, and I also walk kind of the psychic walk. However, I'm not a psychic like the other clairvoyant-based people on the investigative team. I am billed as an empath and also a transmedium. I also probably have the hardest time on the team accepting these abilities as actual, that they actually happen all the time, which I don't know, makes me kind of a dichotomy. It's very interesting, and it always presents a thrill for me, and it's always a challenge. It also gives me something extra to analyze for every investigation as well.
Peter James is a clairvoyant investigator that is very well known, and Peter has the ability to enter a property, identify the entity that is there, as well as sometimes communicate with the being.
I like to regard myself as a paranormal researcher, a progressive paranormal researcher, having investigated hundreds, literally hundreds of haunted sites over the years. My mission in life is to try to demystify the world of ghosts and spirits, and to better inform people that are greatly misinformed regarding the nature of hauntings and ghosts.
Derek Akora, which is our UK investigator. Derek is incredible because his abilities are also quite differently substantiated from others, and the reason is because Derek can communicate with a spirit guide that he calls Sam, and the spirit guide is with him all the time and relays information to Derek. So when Derek enters a property, he not only has the ability to give us information, but to communicate again with an entity that is on site via his spirit guide. So it's pretty incredible. Linda McKenzie is an incredible psychic healer as well as a clairvoyant investigator. And Linda's abilities come from mainly impressions and feelings that she receives, and also has the ability to identify the entities on site, give us names, and she even goes a little further and can clear a property as well.
I've been psychic since I'm 8 years old, and I saw a lot of angels and ghosts and many things when I was 8 years old. And then from there, I had a lot of different kinds of precognizant dreams, and where you could dream something and then it would come true. And I would have many different kinds of experiences, knowing what was going to happen before it happened, and that just kind of progressed all through my life.
You know, Sean Roop is a student investigator that has incredible abilities, and Sean came to us originally from the scientific side as well. But you know, I have found that every scientific person that enters the ISPR group has clairvoyant abilities and ends up using their abilities as well.
As you take the journey for the first time down this road, it's scary. Trying to figure out why this stuff happens and how it happens is something that you can't explain to the layperson unless they experience it. The cool thing is most people do experience it, they don't recognize they're experiencing it. So for me to finally recognize what I'm doing, to have guidance on what I'm doing, to a certain extent, is there's without words. It's mind-blowing. It's opening doors to your mind that you didn't know that were there.
So through the years, we have investigated thousands of properties all over the world that enables us to be the team that knows more about field research than anyone else. By the investigations in England, we have now found more answers in the field of parapsychology. You know, something that I suspected was the fact that, gee, what if you're in a building from 1500 and something, or if you're in a property that had famous murders take place? What are the differences between the United States and the United Kingdom in paranormal phenomena? One of the main reasons that we went to England was to take the ISPR team and actually walk the killing fields of Jack the Ripper. You know, it's fascinating to me to go through a site like the Whitechapel murders and have our information substantiated by a historian like Donald Rumbelow, which has written many books on Jack the Ripper and the Whitechapel murders.
Right before I went around the corner, I could hear someone say, "Tell them about me, tell them about me." And I think her name is Polly, or it starts with a P.
Bucks Row was the scene of the first murder, the first Jack the Ripper murder, on the night of the 31st of August, 1888. The victim was a 42-year-old prostitute called Polly Nichols, who at one time had been a respectably married woman.
And I saw a picture of a woman that was kind of heavy-set, dark hair, hair up, almost like a maid's cap or some kind of cap on her head.
She was drunk, she was filthy, she had 5 front teeth missing, but she was wearing a new hat. Round about 3:30 in the morning, on the 31st of August, 1888, 2 men came through this street, Bucks Row. And as they came through the street, they saw the figure of a woman lying in a gateway. This is the gateway immediately behind me. The 2 men couldn't make out any details because there were no lights working in the street. No street lights, no gas light, just darkness. Besides, the 2 men didn't want to get involved, so they thought they would tell a policeman what they had seen, so they went looking for a policeman. But before they found the policeman himself came through this street, and shining his lantern into this gateway, he saw what the 2 men had not been able to see, that the woman's throat had been cut back to the spine. It was only several hours later, as Polly Nichols' body was being undressed ready for washing, that it was discovered that not only had the throat been cut, but that the body had been ripped open from the vagina to the breastbone. This is where you get the beginning of the name Jack the Ripper.
As a private investigator also for 27 years, I have worked on many homicides and kidnapping cases and so on, and I have found that clairvoyant team members have the ability to give the police and to us certain answers that were not discovered at the time of the murder. So to walk through the same sites as Jack the Ripper was just incredible.
This passageway where I'm standing now was much narrower in 1888, and it's here at the opening of this passage on the night of the 30th of September 1888 that the second of the Jack the Ripper murders took place. Eddowes was seen out here at the mouth of this passage at 1:35 a.m. talking to her killer with her hand on his chest. But nobody saw them come into Mitre Square, which is where we are now. 10 minutes later, Catherine Eddowes was dead.
Now both my hands are feeling, well, my right hand's warming up a little bit, but I can feel extreme heat underneath my hand.
Really?
It feels like...
So you're probably picking up on the emotions of one of the victims. Let me hold on. Is this one of the victims? What's the matter? Do you feel just the emotions of this person?
I really felt that in any moment, after a minute or two, I was going to pass out. I started feeling a little woozier, a lot less stable, less conscious of what was going on around me, what was being said, what my purpose in life was.
Dana, are you okay? What are you picking up?
I don't see anything. It's just kind of like going away.
It's dark.
Everything's just going away.
Do you think this is a person dying? Yeah.
Everything's just going away.
You know why you keep touching your neck? Dana, you know why you keep doing this? What does that feel like?
I remember feeling kind of like, along with the draining of energy, just kind of like disgusting warmth, gushy feeling you get when like the blood drains away. It felt warm and sticky.
Now, Police Constable Watkins came through the square at 1:30 a.m. Everything was in order in the square. The only light in the square came from the policeman's lantern and through the partly open door over there. He came back 15 minutes later, 10 minutes after Eddowes had last been seen alive, and shining his lantern around the square. It stopped here in this corner, because here was lying the body of Catherine Eddowes.
And I maintain that her name began with E, first or last name, E. Yes. E. Yes.
The face had been slashed down both cheeks. There may have been an attempt to cut off one of her ears. One of the cuts had gone through the tip of her nose, which dropped off into the clothing when the body was picked up. The throat had been cut back to the spine. The clothes had been pushed up, forced up. She'd been ripped open from the vagina to the breastbone, the insides lifted out and dropped over her right shoulder. And nobody had seen or heard a thing. Not the policeman on the beat, the night porter over there, or the witnesses out there.
I feel that if history is correct regarding these murders, I believe that he killed 2 women in one night.
He'd already killed in Berner Street, some 10 to 12 minutes walk in that direction. And he'd been disturbed on that killing. He'd fled from the scene. He'd now crossed the invisible boundary that then existed between the two police forces, the City of London Police and the Metropolitan Police. And he'd now killed here in Mitre Square. This was his second killing on the night of the 30th of September, the double event.
I also picked the name up very strongly, Lily. Lily. Brought down from the full name of Elizabeth.
After further investigation, we did find out that there was a young lady by the name of Elizabeth Stride that was murdered on the same night as well.
I can see someone and feel someone's insides coming out.
Yeah.
Really?
And I mean, just, falling out.
Yes.
And I feel that, and I see that.
This area is called Spitalfields, and on the other side of the street is the old Victorian Refuge. And it was in this building that the last of the Ripper's victims lived for a short time before moving to a house nearby. Her name was Mary Kelly. She was a young woman in her 20s, and she'd moved from this refuge into number 13 Miller's Court nearby. She'd moved there with a boyfriend. Miller's Court was roughly about here, immediately behind me now, where these shot shutters are. And at 3:30 in the morning, she picked up Jack the Ripper and brought him back with her to Miller's Court. Some 30 minutes later, people in Miller's Court heard a faint cry of murder. Mary Kelly is lying on the bed facing the window. You can just see the puff sleeves of her chemise. The face has been skinned down to the skull. She can only be identified by her hair and ears.
If this makes any sense, if I may say so, I feel that the perpetrator was some kind of an artist, not professionally, but he had a way of framing things or displaying things, is what I feel.
The flesh has been stripped from different parts of the body. This is stacked up on the table at the side of the bed. The right thigh bone is sticking up in the air. It's been split open with an axe. The torso has been skinned down to the rib cage.
In choice, it's like as if this creature who did this would also have this fetish about the breasts.
One breast, her womb and her kidneys were found under her neck. The other breast and her liver were found under one of her feet. Her heart was missing.
Can anyone pick up a last name on this? Can you get a last name?
On him?
Yes.
I said
S.
yes.
Right.
S, last
That's
name.
what I saw. S-A-R, S-A-R.
So his last name starts with an S.
But this person I know, as it's been given to me, was connected to such a high body linked with, I'm talking about the monarchy.
A link to some kind of an animal involved. I don't know what this means.
So are you saying that two people committed the same murders, or did one person do this and the other man copied him at a later time?
Yes, that's what I feel.
Okay, and was that...
The Jack the Ripper mystery has not yet been solved. The hunt is still going on for the identity of the real Jack the Ripper. Lots of names have been put forward as to who he was. As far as the surviving police records show, there were 3 official suspects. Montague Druitt, a teacher, a lawyer, he committed suicide after the Mary Kelly killing. His own family believed him to have been the Ripper, but why they believed him to be the Ripper, we don't know. Number 2 on the police list was Kosminski, a Polish Jew, a homicidal maniac who believed he was controlled by forces from outer space. Number 3 on the police list was Michael Ostrog, a petty crook continually in and out of prison. Nobody knows why he was a suspect. Those are the 3 official police suspects: Druitt, Kosminski, and Ostrog.
Now, can you tune in and give me a description of this man that you believe committed the murder?
In his 30s. In his 30s.
In his 30s?
Quite a slim man, not a heavy-set man. Here, facially, that's where I was a doubt. I get this like crease marks here. So I've got so we've got prominent, what's it, high cheekbones? High cheekbones. Dark hair, that's for definite. Dark hair.
Yes.
And bits of grey.
I feel that he may have had a mustache.
Yes,
you know, there was a facial hair on mustache. He always kept his pocket watch.
Yeah.
He always kept his pocket watch.
And he was very conscious of time. He looked at it frequently. And everything had to be to the minute, to the hour.
Yes.
And this is how he worked. And I would say that, yes, he had a mustache, but it was an unusual looking mustache.
Yes.
I got a real quick image of it being kind of thick here, and then it comes real thin right about here, but pretty long.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was unusual looking.
And you had spoken about 2 individuals earlier.
Yes.
Which one is this?
This is, I feel, that the non-royal.
The non-royal person.
Oh, I don't feel that. I feel the other.
Okay.
You feel it's the royal person?
Yes, I
Peter?
do.
I feel it's the royal person.
The royal person.
I feel it's the original person.
Yes,
Okay.
that's what I feel as well.
Original perpetrator.
So more and more names are constantly being added to the list. Every other month it seems we get a new suspect. So the mystery hasn't been solved. The hunt for the identity of the real Jack the Ripper still goes on.
I guess an interesting point in the Jack the Ripper investigation was the fact that there was so much information accumulated by the ISPR team, and being on the street itself, it was amazing to get substantial information that we could go back and find historically. But we will be continuing the investigations of the Whitechapel murders because there is so much more information to be found there, and also the real Jack the Ripper. While we were in England, of course, we had to investigate an old English pub. You know, because pubs are so well known there, they're so historical, many pubs are hundreds and hundreds of years old, and a lot of activity, of course, has taken place in those.
The pub itself is roughly around about 300 years old, and obviously over the years there's been extensions built on, so they're in different periods, the actual pub itself.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, get reset. What I'd like to do is we're going to just kind of walk out into the center right here. You guys, you know, whoever's got some information, go ahead and let me know, and we'll have you begin, okay?
There's a gentleman's present. There's a man's presence here.
I want to gravitate more towards the fireplace a little bit.
Just through this.
Almost here.
Here's where I feel something.
And the main area is the ladies' toilet, which was once the gentleman's toilet, but it was converted many years ago. So in the ladies' toilet, people have experienced a presence.
Oh, feel this. Feel this. This is active.
Okay, Peter, you want to give your impression?
Strangely enough, I'm getting a female energy.
Okay.
And I'm getting a name that begins with a D, but I feel two entities, not one.
Yes.
So would you say, are they both female or male and a female?
I would say male and female.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a male. But I'm sensing more female right now.
Okay.
For some reason, I think this was a way house, you know, a stop on routes or something.
It's been here a long time, and it used to be called the Grapes, and that it was a coaching house. And obviously people stopped here, passing sort of thing.
Here, feel it. Woo!
Yes.
Okay.
There's a spot in here that's very cool.
I agree, Peter. I agree totally. I do. There is definitely a lady and a man that have coming into this.
Lady and a man. Yes,
yeah.
I agree.
People have seen a lady going out of the ladies' toilets, and the landlady that was here before saw something in the kitchen, which she said was a lady with a grey dress.
I would like to comment, if I may, that I think that this, in fact, is a hot spot. A definite hot spot.
Also in the pub, there were two actual hot spots reported by the pub owner as well as a witness. And again, the team members went directly to those locations. And many times I find that a clairvoyant member will go to a location because of the residual energy that remains there. It's almost like a beacon, you know, that a clairvoyant investigator can feel.
This is another hot spot, and I feel this is where the entity is very touchy-feely, so to speak.
Well, the experience is really, a lot of it relates to touching.
People sat at the bar, felt somebody brushing past them, being touched on the shoulders.
This is definitely, this entity is a toucher.
This
is a toucher.
Very touchy-feely in this.
Really?
When they sit down in this area, is what I feel. Touching your head, touching your back.
And we find that does happen at times where you do feel an impression or someone touching you or walking behind you. And it's interesting to me that an investigative team of clairvoyants can not only identify the entity, but also state that this entity touches people.
I have to be convinced. I'm not saying that I disbelieve or believe.
During the investigations, I tried many different types of tests. I brought team investigators into a site one at a time to compare notes.
Is it naturally freezing down here?
Yeah, there's if I switch this on.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Have you had, because this is my guide to give me this, I take it these are called lines?
Yes, real lines, yeah.
Right. Have you had any disruption with your lines? I know you're very impeccable with your lines. You are impeccable. But you've had problems with your lines, haven't you?
Yeah.
Do you know what's been causing this?
Well, occasionally we get it on this line here.
Yes.
You know what's causing it now.
Yeah, well, you've got spiritual interference with your lines. And that's what causes this. And it's a man who comes down here, okay, and he fiddles about and he has a good laugh.
I think he plays with things down here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he,
Is there any one
I can actually feel him going. Let's see here, let me feel him.
Probably likes the smell,
No, I think it's over this end. I think he plays with these things and puts them up.
Yeah.
You know, like these, the beer kegs or something.
Right? Yeah. I know it. Because he comes in and he fiddles about here. He's around this area. He comes here, this corner especially. Haven't you also had a problem with, not an explosion, but something to do with kegs pushing back on you?
Aye, aye.
Yeah, it's him.
Get away.
I'm telling you. It is, sir. It is him.
Yeah, it was on the that's right. It was the Strongbow.
Yes.
And the thing come disconnected and
Yeah.
well, they're full of gas, aren't they?
Yeah.
So as the beer goes down, the container fills up with gas and the thing floated off and I got this shirt.
Yes, sir.
It was this
Yeah.
shirt.
Yeah, well.
Just put it
he's-
on.
you
Just
can-
put it
you
on
can
here.
blame him for
And I
it,
thought,
okay?
oh God, here we go.
Yeah.
Wringing wet upstairs, change the shirt.
You can blame him.
Many times when we enter a property, there is a myth pertaining to one person that haunts the place, and all the paranormal activity is credited to them. However, in this case, we found that there were two entities in this property. So even though the Gray Lady had the credit for the haunting, the male presence was there and was the one touching people. One of the really interesting properties that we worked on was Tongue Hall, built in 1594, an incredible house that still stands, and the entire team was overwhelmed in that property.
Tongue Hall was the home of the Tong family, who've certainly been here since the 15th century, if not before. But the house wasn't built until the end of the 16th century, around about 1564. There have been 3 generations prior to this, where each member of the family had married, begat an heir, but unfortunately died before they came of legal age to enter into that full inheritance. But the Richard Tong, who inherited about 1590, was able to get past that hurdle. So once he received his inheritance, he was then able to enter into the building of an entirely new house. It's very likely that the earlier one was either left to rot or had been partly dismantled of the materials during this rather unfortunate period. So it's a brand new house when built in the late 16th century.
Well, my grandmother always swore it was a grey lady walking here. She had the most unpleasant experience in the First World War. She had 5 sons fighting in France at the same time. 4 were wounded. The other one, Uncle Dick, he was out on patrol, and he was badly wounded and sank into mud. Now, that seemed to affect her mind. She would often break up conversation, dash round to that part of the house and say, I think Dick's coming home. And she used to say that a grey lady gave her messages to say that she'd be in touch with Dick. I remember this as a child quite clearly.
There were certain times in that investigation where there was an entity who was very proud of its craftsmanship in a house. That was very prevalent when I first walked in that home, how proud the workmanship, the craftsmanship of that place was.
It's one of 2 males here.
Okay, there we go.
Yes.
All right, go ahead, Derek.
I tell you, I've got one talking to me now.
You do?
Very clearly.
Okay.
He's just told me to come up the stairs. Okay. He said, follow me.
Okay.
That's why I said,
sure.
Go please.
Ahead. Sure.
Thank you. One much younger than the other man. Yes. The stairwell. The stairwell, you say? Not here. Yes. He said he's very proud of his stairs. Are you very proud of my stairs, he said. He said, which stairs? And he's pointed, he said, no, I want you to go over and I'll show you my stairs, which I've built. Who are you? Okay? Don't get agitated, please. I'm your friend. We're friends with you. We come to visit you. Richard. Thank you very much. This man is Richard.
Hello, Richard.
Yeah? And who is the other man, please? Why does he not come with you? He's Richard also.
Basically, he'll be here for a while, you know.
This is a Richard as well, you said?
Yeah, there's a Richard here. There was a Richard over there, but I think different generations, but linked together.
It might be useful to look into the family history, starting about 1500, when Richard Tong of Tong died. He was succeeded by a Thomas, and then by a John, until we come to another Richard, who was born in 1549.
Okay? Yes.
Did Richard build this house?
No, Richard has built stairs.
Oh, okay.
He's very proud of his stairs. He said he wants us to see his stairs.
And it was amazing that the investigative team did not know that there was a section of the house that had another staircase. And when we went into that section, Derek immediately identified the staircase as being the object that this entity was proud of.
We're coming.
He wants to show you his stairs still?
Yes. This here.
Yeah.
This. Can I go through?
Yeah. Yeah.
Here it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah. Look.
It's the stairs. Thank you, Richard. I do like your stairs. Yes, you built them. Can I? May I stand on them? I follow you. Thank you. Is that through there? That's our way through, okay?
The staircase is particularly interesting because it's built entirely of wood. They're not very common.
You cannot stop me, you know.
Is this a male or a female?
It's a male.
It's a male. Can you ask his name?
William.
William?
I had an Uncle William, you see. He was my father's brother. He was older. And like all the family, he was a good footballer. I had the war not come along, he turned professional footballer, as my father did. And he was terribly badly wounded. He suffered greatly for all his life. A bullet went in by his kneecap and came out of the back. And the doctors, when he complained of the pain, often wanted to amputate, but he wouldn't allow him to. And he rather took his solace in drink. But he was quite a character, really.
You know, we use a magnetometer to measure the electromagnetic temporary field of a ghost, and that registers. But at the same time, if that entity is standing near the equipment, it could also cause it to malfunction.
Well, there's a lot of negative energy here. We'll give him some time to collect.
Something?
I know.
He's interfering.
All of a sudden, I hear Derek talk about the audio and how the audio is being tampered with by the entity. At the same time, Scott, our cameraman, had a problem with his camera and Andy did not. You could actually hear almost like a scraping sound on the mic taking place over and over again while this altercation was taking place.
You should get audible.
Oh, it's very cold over here.
Can you speak to us?
Speak, please. Speak.
It's
Clear.
very
Clear.
It's very cold over here.
Yes.
It has been in my experience with other production companies that entities do try to communicate with us in various ways, seemingly through video cameras or tape recorders.
Second to see if it'll drop. You're at 68.9 degrees. Damn, it's going at 65 already.
Yeah.
It's going down.
Okay.
Leave her standing.
No, leave it be.
That's okay.
Eric, it's okay. I'm okay. And I was trying to calm the spirit down, or the ghost, or whatever you want to call it. I was trying to calm it down and kind of get to the core in the center, or the heart of it.